Welcome to the Live from South College podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen Stockham. The Live from South College podcast is your source for all South College activity, including new student information, deep dives into our 100 plus programs and concentrations, tools of the trade, and even live on location from all of our campuses. Great interviews with faculty, staff, deans, and hear from South College students and alumni in their own words. From certificates all the way to doctoral degrees, catch up with Live from South College for the lighter side of helping your dreams find direction. A few months ago, we told you it was coming, and now it's here. The Doctor of Medical Science program aimed at working physician assistants or physician associates, as they are sometimes called, is here and it is happening. I am pleased to welcome to the program the director of this very important program, Dr. David Erpenbach, to the podcast. Hi, Dr. Erpenbach.
Hi, Kathleen. Thank you for having me on today. I'm looking forward to talking about the Doctor of Medical Science program with you.
Yes. Oh, me too. I've been looking forward to this. I've done a lot of research. Let's get into this. I want to address the confusion up front and right away. This doctoral program is not a medical doctor or an MD program. This is meant for working physician assistants. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a common area of confusion for a lot of people. So I'm glad you're starting off with this. I think it's obviously the names are very similar, right? We've got medical doctor and doctor of medical science, but the doctor of medical science degree is the terminal degree for physician assistants, whereas a medical doctor is a physician. So students that complete the doctor of medical science degree are still physician assistants. We're enhancing their clinical preparation and they're learning how to be more comprehensively better prepared physician assistants. But if someone's seeking that physician specific role, they would still need to go to an MD or a DO program. So this degree is not linked to any expanded scope of practice or increased clinical reimbursement or anything along those lines.
Oh, that's great. No, that totally makes sense. And I think for anyone who is a little bit confused, there's a lot of great information out there on the web that clearly explains the different. So, the Doctor of Medical Science, or DMSC, is a very important pathway for working physician assistants who are looking to move up into things like executive leadership or branch into more research oriented roles. Can you tell us a little bit more about those opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, this degree is really helping PAs to be the best that they can be, giving them training and education in areas that maybe they've touched on briefly in the past, but may not have had any formal or extended education on. So we offer the healthcare leadership concentration and the instructional leadership concentrations right now. And both of those are really preparing the graduates to step confidently into those leadership roles, whether that be an executive, like administrative leadership type role, or a leadership role in academia, or something more research oriented, like you mentioned. So it's just giving them the training to confidently enter those roles, which is such an important thing for PAs to do in the future.
Yeah. And I love that because PA is really, really, really on the forefront of what's going on in the medical system right now. There's more and more of them. There's a greater demand. There's obviously, as I discussed back in episode 5 with Dr. Yeager, there's some legislative activity that is looking for more autonomy for the PA. So having this doctoral degree signals that I think there's even a lot more exciting things coming. So, as I mentioned, we've talked a lot about PA as a whole. And a little bit earlier this year, I did an extra credit episode with our president of the CBE campus, Dr. Michael Patrick. And this all online program is in this amazing CBE format, which means that the doctoral program is a at your own pace program, as we like to call it, which is great for busy working professionals. How convenient is that?
The convenience cannot be overstated. So the competency-based education, or CBE model that we're discussing, is really what sets our program at South College apart from all the others nationally. So, the students really can go through at their own pace. You're not going through as part of a cohort with a group of other students. You don't have an assignment due every Friday night at midnight, or a discussion response due at a certain day or time. You really do go through at your own pace. We've got some benchmarks kind of along the way to make sure that you're staying on track to reach that goal that you set out to achieve. But how you do it along the way is totally up to you. So you progress through the course material at your own pace, and then along the way you're working one-on-one with our faculty to make sure that you're learning the material and demonstrating competency on the material, which is what the model is based on. So it really removes as many barriers as possible for working PAs, which is so important. PAs are typically working lots of hours throughout the week. They work nights, weekends, holidays. And so for many of us, it's really daunting to think about adding one more thing into our busy schedules. And so we want to remove as much of those barriers as possible to allow them to achieve their doctoral degree and advance their education.
Yeah, and the other thing that I love about the CBE program that we talk about a lot on the podcast every time we talk about CBE programs is that, particularly as a working professional, you need to take time off, you need to go to your child's ball game, you want to take vacation, you can do that. You literally can put the pencil down and go do what you need to do, and when you come back, you just pick right up and keep going. And it's also that awesome one-to-one relationship that you have with your faculty member as you go along. So you're never left alone. It's not just, hey, go do all these online courses. We'll see you when you finish. I mean, it is literally having someone at your desks every single day as you work on it, and you can put it away for the weekend or you can work straight through if you have to. And that's the best part about it, is you literally can go at your own pace, as we said earlier. And for these very busy working professionals, to your point, that are nights and days and weekends and holidays, this is a nice program that they can work through that kind of sits in the background as they take care of their families, they take care of business, obviously, and getting the work and the job done, but they still have the opportunity to earn this amazing degree. So again, that's got to be exciting for you as the program director.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is so important to have something like this available to working PAs. Like I said, we're the only one offering this model, and I wish I could have gone through this model when I had done my doctorate. It's a great opportunity, and I think as more working PAs kind of find out those advantages of the CBE model, I think it's going to be a really attractive program to them to allow them to advance their education.
Yeah, and let's not forget, PA school is hard. That in and of itself is hard. I've interviewed enough PA students through the course of the podcast, and they all have the same facial expression, and it's not a smile.
No, it's fatigue and just trying to grit it out. Yeah, PA school is incredibly challenging, and we don't want this to be like that for them. They're all already PAs, and they've gone through that, so this should meet them where they're at, and so that's what we're trying to do with this.
Yeah, I love that, and a shameless plug for all 5 of our PA programs at all of our locations. We have 5 locations that carry the PA program, and, these are incredible students. They are so ready, so well-read, they're amazing, they're very, very smart, and most importantly, incredibly self-directed. They know exactly what they wanna do when they get out, and that has been so evident in all of the interviews I've done. So as I mentioned back in episode 5, I interviewed the program director for PA for Knoxville, Dr. Don Yeager, about the importance of the role of the physician assistant. And it's actually one of our biggest episodes we have. It by far has the most downloads of anything that we have done. So this leads me to believe, if I'm doing the math, that the Doctor of Medical Science program could be equally as large. Tell us more about what the students can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Dr. Yeager was spot on. Our profession's not going anywhere. It's only going to continue to grow. The Association of American Medical Colleges actually predicted a physician shortage of about 86,000 by 2036. And so, as I discussed earlier, our role is not exactly the same as physicians, but there is a lot of overlap. In our roles, and healthcare delivery is a team effort, and so there's going to be the need for PAs to help kind of ease that burden of the predicted shortage of positions. So we're preparing to help fill that need, help fill that role in the foreseeable future. So we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to keep growing, and just as importantly, degrees, like the Doctor of Medical Science program, are helping to train us to be healthcare leaders. Right? So we're clinicians and we're helping fill clinical roles, but just as importantly, if not more importantly, healthcare needs leadership and needs leaders with different perspectives and education and training. And the Doctor of Medical Science program is really helping PAs to step into some of those leadership roles that maybe previously weren't as available to us. So there's going to be the need for leaders down the road, but we really need to start training the leaders of tomorrow today, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. I completely agree with you. And it's a nice segue into the next question, which is, one of the foundations and competencies, as I've been really researching this for this program, is effective communication and also the instruction on advocacy. Now, that sounds incredibly important in healthcare and particularly in patient facing care. What does that mean exactly that they cannot do as a PA now?
Yeah, absolutely. So communication and advocacy on different levels is so important, as you pointed out. And it's not so much that PAs can't do it now with a master's degree, but with the training and education that they're getting through the Doctor of Medical Science program, they're learning how to be more effective communicators or how to be better patient advocates or advocate for the profession or the healthcare system. So it's not that they can't do it now, but it's more about being the best we can in those roles and improving where we can. I think everyone asks themselves, like, can we do better? And the answer is pretty much always going to be yes to that. We can all always try and strive to better ourselves in different ways. And so I think that's where something like the Doctor of Medical Science program comes in as it relates to communication and advocacy work.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. It's kind of funny because the other part about that is you're talking as I'm wondering, do these students, do they have to do a dissertation or what is kind of the off ramp at the end of this program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we don't do a dissertation. We do a capstone project. So they're performing research in the area of their choosing. So they'll be completing secondary research, and so compiling data that's already out there and forming new conclusions and furthering our understanding of the topic that they choose. And so we're going to go through that whole process with them. A lot of PAs are well removed from any research. They might not have done anything since PA school, and so we'll refresh them on some things, and then we're going to go through the entire process with them, beginning to end. And it should be a more in depth process than maybe what they experienced in PA school, and hopefully, allowing them to more confidently pursue research activities or opportunities after they graduate and kind of step into that role or that space in the healthcare community as well.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, so then it makes me wonder what kind of roles will these graduates be eligible for once they complete the program and complete their capstone?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love it because really we're still kind of finding out, right? So PA researchers are studying what doctoral PAs are doing with their degrees. And, essentially the degrees open a lot of doors for PAs in their careers. So that's the big takeaway. It creates a lot of opportunities. And so we're still kind of finding out all the opportunities that PAs are pursuing. But some of the more popular ones, of course, a PA can always continue to practice clinically. But as we've kind of touched on, this education and this training equips them to be team leads or committee leaders or step into those administrative or executive roles in practices or hospitals. So that's always a possibility. We're seeing some doctoral PAs enter entrepreneurial and those spaces, which is really exciting. And then we've got an obvious use is in academia. I think in the near future, probably in the next 5 to 10 years, if I had to guess, PA programs are going to be starting to transition to entry level doctoral degrees. And so that seems to be on the horizon, probably sooner rather than later. And so when that shift starts to occur, PA faculty in the programs will need to have their doctoral degree to be teaching students at the doctoral level. So there's definitely that opportunity for people looking to enter into academia. And then probably I would say one of the most common things that potential applicants are seeking with this degree would be the medical science liaison roles within pharmaceutical companies. So that's a space that's typically been filled with um, people holding doctorates. Not that a master's level PA couldn't get it, but it's really challenging when you're competing with physicians or PhDs or PharmDs or DNPs for
Hmm.
those same roles. And so that's a really popular route that a lot of people are seeking right now. But yeah, the degrees just open up a ton of opportunities for PAs, which is just really exciting.
Yeah, actually, it's ironic. We offer many of the roles you just talked about, DMP and PharmD for sure. So that's actually kind of exciting that we have an opportunity to kind of make it a little more well rounded, depending on which piece of healthcare you want to come from. So you lamented on this a little bit earlier that you wish the CBE format was available when you were coming along. But what is your journey to the Doctor of Medical Science role, and why did you choose South College?
Yeah, well, how much time do we have left, right?
Plenty of
No,
time.
I no, seriously though, South College is near and dear to my heart. So I went to PA school at South College, and at the time, I'm sure they were taking a chance on me. I'm sure there were other applicants that maybe had better GPA or more clinical experience or something along those lines. Maybe looked better on paper, and so I've always been grateful to South College for kind of taking that chance on me and allowing me to become a physician assistant. So I kind of began with South College, and then I went into to practice in orthopedics and several subspecialties within orthopedics, but mostly in orthopedic trauma surgery at the local level one trauma center, which, as you can probably guess, is a difficult lifestyle. And I found myself getting burnt out in practice after years of practice and just kind of looking for something else. And around that time, February 2020, opening became available with the faculty for the PA program, and it just seemed like a sign to me. Like I've always been a proponent of kind of giving back where you came from. So South College allowed me to become a PA, and so I kind of wanted to give back, and so I took the position, and I wasn't sure if academia is what I wanted to do for the rest of my career or anything like that, but I quickly found that I really liked it, and so this is all happening as the COVID pandemic's kind of starting up and reaching its height, and so then an opportunity presented itself to pursue my doctorate degree. And it was something that I honestly hadn't given much thought to previously. But at the time, I just knew that I didn't want to go back to full time practice. And I knew I wanted to open as many doors and possibilities for myself as possible. So I decided to jump in on it in the height of the pandemic. And so I pursued my doctorate and achieved that. And then after I graduated, I was still on faculty with the PA program. And so I started talking with the leadership at South College and in the PA program about potentially making our own Doctor of Medical Science program. And so I worked with them on proposing that and building it. And initially, we had built it in a similar model to what's offered elsewhere at all the other programs in the country. But we've got this great CBE campus at South College already that's got so many other successful programs up and running. And so it just made a lot of sense to going back to that flexibility aspect, particularly for working PAs. It made a lot of sense to move the DMS degree to that CBE model. So now, I'm proud to say that we're the nation's first and only CBE model DMS program, and like I said, I think that's so valuable for working PAs, and so I'm so excited to be a part of it and to help get it to this point for South College.
Oh, that's awesome, and you're a homegrown boy, so I love that you've come back to the mothership. That's amazing. I'm always excited to talk to faculty and staff that are former students or even students that have come back to pursue more education and have taken on a staff or faculty role, which I think is amazing. So, as it relates to this program, what advice do you have for a PA who is looking at this program and making some decisions right now about possibly enrolling?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best advice I have is just jump in. I mean, if you're waiting for the perfect time to go back to back to school, it's probably never going to come. Like it's like we're all so busy with work and family and life in general. So there's rarely going to be that perfect opportunity where everything else kind of pauses. I mean, do your due diligence, look into what you want to do with the degree and all that, but then just jump in, particularly with this CBE model. If you've got good time management and organizational skills, it's going to feel daunting on the front end, but once you get going, it's very achievable. I don't think anyone's ever going to regret advancing their education, right? We're just opening more doors for ourselves by doing that. Just jump in. It's daunting and scary, but just do it and you'll be happy you did.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing advice. It kinda makes me wish I was, 20 years younger. So, what do you do in your spare time? Doesn't sound like you have much, but what do you do?
Yeah, no, I stay busy. So I work full time with South, and I'm able to keep my foot in the door clinically a day a week as a sub investigator in clinical trials. So it's nice to kind of keep some of those clinical skills up as well. But in my spare time, family is my priority. That's kind of what led me into academia in the first place. Just feeling that desire to be more present with my family and try and be the best husband and dad that I could be. So a lot of my time is spent with my kids, driving them to and from activities, and I'm the coach for my son's club soccer team, which has been a ton of fun. So a lot centered around my family. But in my time, my personal time, I really enjoy running. I kind of started that during the pandemic as well, just for exercise, and I found that it was a good outlet with work and stress, and while I was pursuing my doctorate as well, and so I kind of got the running bug then. And so since then, I've completed 3 marathons, including the Chicago Marathon last fall.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and I qualified for Boston along the way. And I've been doing that. And I'm currently training for my first trail ultra marathon. So I'll do that later this month. So I'm looking forward to that. Just staying busy with family and friends.
I think you have maybe too much going on. I don't know. So I ask all of my podcast guests this question, and I can always tell how it's going to go based on the first reaction. What kind of student were you in school? And the
In
laughter gives it
hindsight,
away.
in hindsight, there were definitely opportunities to be better. I think I was always a good student, certainly not the best. I feel like I always had to work hard for the grades that I got. Like education didn't necessarily always come easy to me, but that's fine. It's a different path for everyone, and so I tried really hard. Were there opportunities where I could have tried harder? Sure, I'm sure there were, but I did the best I could, and I mean, I've grown a lot along the way. Looking back, like how I approached my doctoral degree versus my master's versus
Mhm.
my bachelor's. It's all been a growth experience for sure.
No, I am aligned to that completely. I look at back at my bachelor self and I think about kind of the way that I felt about education and future at that time and things that were far more interesting than going to class. So I can relate. And I think if I was that student right now, I would definitely be a much better student. But you know what? That's what maturing is all about, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I love it. Well, that's a lot of info for you on this brand new and very exciting program for all the working physician assistants out there. You have the master's degree and the licensure as a PA. But now go get the next level of education in the Doctor of Medical Science in the amazing CBE format. I want to thank my guest, Dr. David Erpenbach, Program Director of the Doctor of Medical Science program.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Kathleen. This has been fun.
Yay, that's awesome. Coming up after the break, we're going to swoop in on the PA program at South College, Asheville, and check in with Program Director Dr. Tim Calcagni and see why Asheville, PA is where it's at. Stick around, we'll be right back.
When you start your new career path at South College, you'll join students from different walks of life at varying stages in their lives. Many students are going back to school to finish degrees, while others are pursuing elevated education that will help them improve their potential in their current roles or for chasing a new direction. South College offers over 100 programs and concentrations with specialized focus on associate, bachelor's, master's, educational specialist, and doctoral degrees in healthcare, business, technology, education, and legal studies. We are regularly developing new academic programs based on local, regional, and national trends. Each curriculum is designed to promote development of knowledge and skills in the associated discipline as we challenge and support our students. South College is committed to providing intellectual, social, and professional development to a diverse student body. With locations in Knoxville, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Asheville, North Carolina, Orlando, Florida, Indianapolis, Indiana, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Dallas, Texas, and Marietta, Georgia, as well as programs delivered through competency-based education, or CBE, and online. We're here with you every step of the way, starting with the admissions process. To find out more, visit South College at south.edu. South College, where dreams find direction.
One. Welcome back. We have 5 very large PA programs, including Atlanta, Knoxville, Nashville, Orlando, and this behemoth, Asheville, North Carolina. I am very pleased to welcome to the program director in the center of all this awesomeness, instructor Tim Calcagni, to the podcast. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kathleen. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I love Asheville. It's one of my favorite campuses. It's so beautiful. I was there not too terribly long ago. So let's jump into this. Asheville, PA is relatively new and has really mushroomed overnight as a large program for our Asheville campus. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'd love to. The Asheville campus has been around for some time, but the PA program is relatively new. We were developed and received our accreditation in 2022, and we matriculated our first class in January of 2023. It's a 27-month program, so we graduated our first class in March of 2025, which was a really exciting time for myself and for all the instructors and the students to see our inaugural class graduate last March.
It's great. Yeah, I've actually met and interviewed several of your students back on episode 28, my Live from Asheville episode. And these students, I got to say, they really have it put together. They are smart, disciplined, and very focused on what they do. And it was a joy to interview them. Really had a good time. Tell us a little bit more about your students.
Our students are the reason the faculty are here and the reason the program's here. They're why we show up every day, and we love working with them. Our student body has a pretty considerable geographic diversity, so they come from all over the country. But these are all enthusiastic, hardworking individuals that are here to learn and train to become a PA. Like I said, and I think you probably had this experience when you interviewed the students. They're a fun group to be around. There's a great deal of camaraderie within the group, and they have a strong sense of humor. Last Halloween, about 10 of them dressed up as me for Halloween. So they
I saw those pictures.
yeah, they like to play with the instructors, and I think we have a good relationship there. And again, they're why we do what we do. We all love spending time with our students, and it's a really exciting and rewarding career to be able to help develop the next generation of healthcare providers.
Yeah, I agree. They were totally fun to be around, but also very serious, very passionate about what they're doing and what they're studying. And we had a good time, kind of giving them a hard time about what they do in their spare time and do they go out and enjoy nightlife in Asheville when they're not studying? And the answer is yes, by the way. But they were just amazing. And oh my goodness, they are just the whole complete package. So let's talk about the other side of the coin. PA is a tough program. I say it all the time on the podcast. It is definitely a hard program, but it seems to be growing immensely, judging from these 5 campuses that we have, where we've got these really large PA programs, and we have honestly more applicants than we have seats. And so we unfortunately do have to turn people away. Why do you think it's growing so much?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The physician assistant profession has grown immensely over the past few decades. And I think it's for a few different reasons. The first is to fulfill the healthcare need with the physician shortage that's been highlighted by the AMA. I mean, PAs are trained along the medical model. It's a condensed model compared to medical school, but it's also a competency based education. And so when they graduate with the ability to diagnose and treat patients alongside a supervising physician. And so they really help to fulfill that healthcare need. Going with that theme of it being a competency based education, they also deliver quality of care that's comparable to a physician, but at a lower cost in general. And so, again, that certainly helps fill the gaps that exist in our country in terms of access to care. One other aspect of the career that I think contributes to its popularity is the lateral mobility that PAs have. And we hear that all the time when we interview students. We oftentimes ask, why do you want to pursue this avenue? Why do you want to become a physician assistant? And lateral mobility again comes up again and again. PAs trained as generalists have the ability to move from specialty to specialty without going through another period of training or residency. And for many, including myself, if you look at my career, that's a really nice option to be able to move into different specialties and spend time in surgery or primary care all under the same training without having to go back to school.
Yeah, that's definitely a consistent answer when I've interviewed PA students in Atlanta and of course, here in Knoxville and in other campuses. They all love the ability that it is so versatile. They can work in so many different avenues. It's not just a hospital or an office setting. There's actually such a demand out there. And I agree. That's something very attractive about the program. Back in episode 5 of the podcast, I asked Dr. Don Yeager, who is the program director here in Knoxville, about what students can expect at the application and interview level. What advice do you have for Asheville hopefuls that want to get in the program?
Yeah, it's a great question. And of course, I'll first say you can always look at our website for our admissions criteria and our selective scoring, and that's outlined very clearly for any potential applicant. And we are a competitive program. We get over 1,000 applications per year for 85 slots. And so it is
Wow.
highly selective. Kind of the basics are, a minimum of a bachelor's degree, completion of our prerequisite coursework, but competitive applicants need to exhibit success academically in terms of their overall GPA, their science courses, because this is a science based curriculum primarily, some standardized testing like the GRE, and then exhibiting some patient care experience. It's important to have some time with patients to kind of understand healthcare, understand and gain some skills in communicating with patients. And that all kind of goes into our holistic admissions process. One thing I preach to our students and also preach to applicants is our program looks for students who are enthusiastic, who are intellectually curious and really want to learn and are committed to this role. And so that's really what we're looking for as a program.
That's amazing. And I know Dr. Yeager also gave some hints and tips on potential interview questions and kind of what to prepare for. So, any insight there?
That is a great question. And I don't want to give it all away. I think
Oh, come on.
I'll reiterate what I said before. I mean, again, individuals who are invited to interviews are academically qualified, and the program's really looking to see if you're a good fit. And again, some of the things we look for is that commitment to the role, that ability to communicate and be personable. And we do, to some level, assess professionalism. And then again, I look for individuals to be curious and to ask the right questions, because I think that's incredibly important to becoming a physician assistant is a dedication to lifelong learning, which is driven by curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, I tried. So for anybody listening, I tried to get some tips, but that's okay. So let's talk about you for a minute. What's been your journey and how did you get to South College?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I completed my training at Northeastern University in Boston. I'm originally from the smallest state in this country, Rhode Island. Trained at Northeastern University, graduated in 2015, and I've spent the majority of my clinical career in emergency medicine. Before PA school, and I hear this from a number of students, I was a student athlete and was going the physical therapy route. And in my patient care experience working as a technician, I had the benefit of a mentor and a physical therapist who noticed that I I really like to pay attention to and kind of lock in to the patients who are coming with undifferentiated musculoskeletal complaints. And he noticed I enjoyed that process of reasoning and being a diagnostician. And he suggested that I shadow at PA. And that's how I was exposed to the physician assistant career. And it immediately clicked for me that I wanted to be a PA at that point. Again, pursued that avenue through Northeastern. How I ended up in Asheville, so practicing emergency medicine up in the Northeast was rewarding. Living in the Northeast has its benefits, but it's also very cold. The winters are long, and my partner and I love the mountains and had visited Asheville. So we moved to Asheville in about 2018. I tell students that I was rather unique in that on my graduation day, I was a little bit sad to leave PA school. I had a tremendous experience at Northeastern, but I was also sad because I loved being in the classroom. Lots of students, when they graduate, they're about ready to get out of class and into the clinic, as you can imagine. But I kind of knew I would find my way back into the classroom. In my years as a clinician, I did participate in precepting students and working with them and teaching them at the bedside. And very early on, I determined that I want to teach someday. So years later, I find myself in Asheville. I hear that South College Asheville is starting a PA program, and I was probably the first person knocking on the door for a job or an opportunity to teach these
Oh, I
students.
love it. That's awesome. I love that. So you mentioned a little bit about outdoors. What do you do in your spare time?
Yeah, most of my spare time when I'm not at work and not also a student is spent out here in the mountains. I am an outdoor enthusiast. I enjoy trail running, mountain biking. I like to joke and say I like to keep myself out of the ER as best I can as a ER clinician, but really enjoy again getting outdoors, exercising. My wife and I have a dog. We love to take her out hiking in the mountains.
Cool. Well, that's the fun part, and of course, you're living in literally one of the most beautiful cities in the whole world. I love Asheville so much. It's so lovely everywhere you look, and particularly all of the recovery after the hurricane, which we've tracked very closely here on the podcast in talking to several executive staff who went through that whole situation. Back in episode 2, I talked to the campus president at that time who, went through it all and saw it all and just love Asheville so much. So, a question that I ask all of my podcast guests: what kind of student were you in school?
What kind of student was I in school? That's a great question. I was certainly a dedicated student. I'll start with that. I think that that note about intellectual curiosity comes from kind of my own way of learning, always asking questions. Fantastic. Yeah, those. That's a great question, Kathleen. I think I need to know a little bit
I
more.
sense some stalling here.
Yeah, you're also asking me to go back uh, farther than I'd like to. I've been out of school for some time.
Well, just lie and say you were a fantastic student, straight A's all the way through.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I love it. I love it. And I appreciate the honesty. All right. For anyone thinking about PA school or considering the Doctor of Medical Science option after PA school, I think you have some really great info here in this episode. I want to thank my guest, Asheville Program Director and Physician Assistant Tim Calcagni, for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Oh, no, thank you. Well, that's going to do it for us this time. With 10 campuses in 7 states, plus online and CBE, there's a pathway for you at South College. Hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Live from South College. The Live from South College podcast is a production from South College Marketing. Thanks for joining me. If you love it, give it some stars, and you can always send us feedback by emailing us at southcollegepodcast@south.edu. Have an awesome day and let your dreams find direction. See you next time.